G'day, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Harry and today we're out behind the bar and we're talking about something that every home brewer knows they should do but probably doesn't, and that's kegerator maintenance. So let me ask you a question. When was the last time you cleaned your beer lines? If you can't honestly say in the last week, then you, like most of us, need to do them now. And if you answered last week, well, congratulations. You're one of the few, and it probably are the equivalent of the home brewer's teacher's pet, and we can't be friends. As home brewers, we put effort into keeping everything clean and sanitised throughout the whole entire brewing process, but all that hard work can go down the drain if we cut corners out here. The problem is, cleaning beer lines is a pain in the butt, it's time consuming, it's messy, and it's definitely not one of those fun, sexy brewing tasks. But what if I told you there's an easy way? No need to fill up a keg, waste litres of cleaner and sanitiser, or burn through CO2. In just a few simple maintenance tips will keep your beer tasting fresh, your pours consistent, and your kegerator running smoothly for years to come. So let's dive in and get my kegerator back into top shape. So our traditional method involves filling up a keg full of your cleaner or your sanitiser and pushing it through with CO2. It uses CO2 to obviously push the cleaner or the sanitiser into your lines. From there, you let it sit for a number of minutes, probably 10 or 15. You repeat it with water and sanitiser. Now, the downsides to this is it wastes CO2, it requires a spare keg, and it can be quite time consuming, especially if you've only got one spare keg. The next method I tried was to use an empty soft drink bottle. Again, it cuts down on the amount of cleaner and sanitiser that you use, but at the end of the day, you're still using CO2 to push that through your beer lines, and that's not ideal. So what's the solution? Let's dive down and I'll give you a quick look at the way I've got it set up. The easiest way to clean your beer lines, I've found, is with a submersible pump. Now this one came from Keg King, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. All right, onto that, I've got a 1/2 inch adapter that steps down to a 13mm piece of tubing and then step down again from the 13mm piece of tubing to the 8mm piece of tubing, and we're going to thread that into the pump. And then onto this end, we're going to insert a carbonation cap, just like that. Now, pressure's generally good enough to hold this, but in this case, we're going to use a zip tie. And we'll just put our zip tie on. Like that. And trim that off. And the reason why I say use a cable tie is because we can clip this off and let the water drain out when we're finished. From there, it's just a simple matter of picking up your submersible pump and putting it inside your 5 litre jug. It should just stick to the bottom with those suction caps. From there, it's just a matter of putting a couple of scoops of our brewery wash into our jug and adding a couple of litres of hot water. Top that off, and then disconnecting our first beer line and connecting it to our carbonation cap like that, and coming underneath our tap, moving our jug over, turning the tap on, and then turning the pump on. And we just let that recirculate for about 5 minutes. So that's been recirculating. Now it's just a matter of moving down and doing all our taps. Now, don't throw your cleaner out. We're going to use that to clean our taps with. So we'll save our cleaner. And now it's just a matter of repeating that same process with the beer lines with rinse water. So let's just rinse our lines out. And you want to let that run for a couple of minutes too. Next thing we'll do is we'll take our taps off and get them ready to have a good cleaning as well. Now I'm not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but just have a look at the gunk that's in these K-locks. It's terrible. And that's only been 2 weeks. There you go. Chunky bits. All right, we'll deal with that in a sec. We'll go over and get our taps disassembled and start them soaking. Righto, so we're going to take our taps apart. And to do that, just look at that gunk on the back of that. All right, we're going to need our tap spanner, and I'll just go and grab that, and we'll get these taps pulled apart. Spanner in, giving it a twist. Oh, look at that. Righto. Now I'll strip the whole tap down. Pop our shuttle out. Back everything off. Now I've got 3 dishes here. You can see, is I like to keep all of my parts for one tap in the one container. Now stout tap is exactly the same. Take the K-lock off and just separate him out. And last one. Give them a good soak. And then we're going to come in with our small little brush. We'll start here. And just repeat that process. The only thing with stout taps you've got to watch is there's a disc that's located in here that you need to span it to get at, so you won't be able to go all the way through the tap. So once the taps are clean, we'll give them a good rinse and then put them back together. So while those taps are soaking out there, I've just ducked into the laundry and we're just going to pull apart our liquid disconnects and give them a good clean in the sink here. So let's put our first tap back together. Righto, our taps are all reassembled. Last thing we're going to do is grab a bit of food grade silicone lubricant and just lube up these K-locks. Keep those O-rings nice and lubricated, and then fit them back up to the font. And now it's just a matter of refitting our tap handles. Now, to sanitise, we're going to use a pressure sprayer. Look, we could use that submersible pump. However, what I found is that if we're going to use something like Star Sand, it's just going to create too many bubbles. The bubbles will get sucked into the pump will cavitate, and you won't be able to generate enough pressure to force the liquid through. Best thing I've found is one of these spray packs. Again, all I've done is put another carbonation cap on the bottom of it. I'll show you how that works. So we're just going to take the top off our sprayer and tip in our 2 litres of Star Sand that I've already pre-mixed. It's just a matter of putting the lid on, giving it a few pumps and pushing it through the lines. So grab our first line. And we'll just hook that up. Jug underneath. And just wait for the Star Sand to come through. That's it there. So the last thing we're going to do is take another spray bottle. It's just got some dishwashing liquid in it and some water. And we're going to just test our gas lines for leaks. Oh, we're in good shape there. After all that, I reckon we've earned a beer. So, cue the slow-mo and the bad 80s porn music. Now, if you're keeping up with your regular cleaning, you probably won't see beer stone, but if you ever notice a white chalky build-up inside your beer lines or your taps, that's beer stone. It won't come out with regular cleaner, and if it's really that bad, sometimes it's easier just to replace the beer lines rather than fight it. A fresh line is cheap insurance to keep your beer tasting great. So let's have a quick talk about maintenance. I've included this chart. It's by no means definitive, but it gives you a rough idea about things that you'll be required to do. I'd encourage you to daily give everything a wipe over and check for gas leaks. There's nothing more disappointing than waking up and coming out and realising all your CO2's disappeared like a fart in a fan factory. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to give a quick line clean, and we're going to do that with the pressure sprayer, and that's a wash, a rinse and a sanitise. Every 4 weeks is more intense cleaning. We're going to clean off our taps and our disconnects. If you stay on top of things, you won't end up with having to deal with beer stone in your lines. Now here's the problem with beer stone. It's harmless at first, but when it builds up, it'll kill your head retention and it harbours bacteria. Or more importantly, it makes nucleation sites on the inside of your beer lines. Now, nucleation's caused when your beer flows over a rough surface, and this forces the CO2 out of suspension prematurely and results in a foamy pour. Foamy pours can also happen due to temperature differences between your kegerator and the actual tap itself. Now, when your beer flows through a font that's not flooded, That increase in temperature quite often causes the CO2 to come out of suspension. Now, to fix this, before we start adjusting our beer lines, I'd encourage you to half pour a beer, let the tap cool down, and then complete another full beer's pour. And if that's the case, then we need to look at a fan or something to assist with cooling those lines down. And that's a wrap. Hopefully this helps you keep your kegerator running like a dream and your beers tasting spot on. If you found this useful, do me a favour, hit that like button, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments below how you keep your setup clean. Got any tricks I didn't cover? I'd love to hear them. As always, life's too short to drink dodgy beers, so keep them pouring fresh, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. Oh yeah.